Hello, everyone, and welcome to Living Healthy and Aging Well. My name is Ken Haglind, and today is Saturday, February 15th, 2020, and we are broadcasting live from the AM 950 radio station that overlooks beautiful Bryant Lake Regional Park, located here in Eden Prairie, Minnesota. I hope everyone had a great Valentine's Day yesterday. We have some wonderful weather here in Minnesota. For those of you listening across the country, we're going to be in the 30s today, and it's sunny, so we're all excited about that. And as you know, we are on the air live every Saturday from noon to 1, and we talk about the important subjects about your health and your life. We cover a wide range of topics to improve your quality of life, including wellness, health care, elder care, even end-of-life care, and, of course, caregiver support. We are adding new listeners to the show each week, and thank you for letting us know you are listening by leaving a voice or text message on our radio phone number, which is 612-999-3426. And you can leave that message anytime, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, last week we did hear from Amelia in Brooklyn Center, Julia in Minneapolis, and Eleanor in St. Paul. Thank you for the kind words and support. We really appreciate hearing from you. Now, we also welcome your questions, comments, and suggestions. Please continue to let us know of topics or guests you'd like for us to have on a future show. Remember, we are here to help you improve your quality of life. Now, for all the new listeners, the purpose of this radio show is to bring you specialists and experts and people with a passion for helping others to provide insights and recommendations on how to navigate the complexities of managing both you and your family's health and quality of life. We also have a special focus on our aging population and how we can help you and your loved ones prepare for the various stages of life's transitions. In addition, we provide, of course, vital information for the caregivers who are essential in supporting our growing senior population. Well, we have another great show for you today. I am so excited to have this group of people, and we got a roundtable discussion. And every once in a while, I get a chance to highlight one of the premier senior residential campuses here in Minnesota, and we have that privilege here today. So if you guys have any questions about senior residential care and all the services that support that, please give us a call or text message me on the show here. Now, we have in the studio today Mark Hayes, who is President of Ministry, Jacqueline Grimm, who's the Regional Director of Senior Services for Minnesota Care Communities, and she's a licensed administrator, and Deborah Wilbright. She's the Regional Director of Disability Services, and we're going to be discussing the mission of the Lutheran Home Association. And they're serving the spiritual, physical, intellectual, and emotional needs of the people entrusted to our care and others whose lives we touch. So it's very important that you get a chance to get a call in here if you have questions about elder care, residential care, and all the services that support that. Now, we received several questions about last week's show with Mary Sarah and Cody Larvick. They're the co-owners of Billy's Choice. Now, they're a local provider of in-home senior care services. And if you want more information about their in-home care services, please call their office at 952-653-1899. Once again, 952-653-1899. Now, or you could also listen to the recording of their show on the podcast. Now, you can find all of our show recordings throughout the last several years on the AM 950 website by going to the AM 950 radio homepage, clicking the on-demand button, and then clicking on our show logo entitled Living Healthy and Aging Well. Now, remember, folks, there's two ways to get your questions answered. The first one is calling the radio station and talking to our friendly show producer, Eric Nelson. You can talk to him, and he'll get your call on the air live to ask us your question. Now, the radio station's phone number for these live questions is 952-946-6205. Once again, 952-946-6205. Or if you're shy, you can just directly text us a question to our radio show phone, which is right here in the studio, and that number is 612-999-3426. Once again, 612-999-3426. All right, I'll give out those numbers again throughout the show. So again, if you have any questions, get them ready, because before you know it, the show will be done, and you guys always are texting me or calling me after the show's done with a question. So, and many times I get the same question asked after the show. So try to get those questions to us during the show when we have these wonderful experts in the studio. All right. Well, let's introduce our guests today. I'm very excited. I had a chance to meet these folks here just a few months ago in the fall, and they were at one of the new communities that they are managing in Lakeville. And so I asked them to be on the show, and they've been kind and gracious enough to come in today during a beautiful Saturday in Minnesota. So joining me in the studio again is Mark Hayes, President of Ministry, Jacqueline E.M. Grimm. She's the Director of Senior Services for Minnesota Care Communities and a licensed administrator. And Deborah Wilbright. She's the Regional Director of Disability Services. And again, we're talking about the mission of the Lutheran Home Association that is serving the spiritual, physical, intellectual, and emotional needs of the people entrusted to their care and others whose lives they touch. So welcome to the show, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great to have you here. And folks, if you have access to Facebook Live page here, you can pull that up and look at these people. These are just beautiful people, just very handsome, beautiful people. And they have a passion for helping others, which is just makes them even more beautiful. So before we start talking about the Lutheran Home Association's mission and the services they provide, I want to get a background on each of you here for our audience. And let's start with Mark. Why don't you give us a little bit about your background and maybe how you ended up working here with the Lutheran Home Association?
Sure. My name is Mark Hayes. I went to undergrad to be a pastor, and then there's a 4-year seminary after that. So I graduated with my Master of Divinity from Wisconsin Lutheran Seminary in Mequon, Wisconsin. I was sent out to Colorado to church plant. So I got to start a church from scratch. The first members were my wife and me, and then we had children. So that's kind of the cheating way to add members to your congregation is just have children. But we met a ton of people in that community, and the church grew to probably about 300 members before I ended up switching careers. After 14 years in ministry, I switched careers and ended up in something slightly unrelated in manufacturing operations. So I worked in an industry for about 3 or 4 years in Colorado Springs, and those two backgrounds combined caused the Lutheran Home Association to reach out to me on LinkedIn, of all things. So I didn't know that worked, but it works. People actually do use that and say, hey, are you interested in working for us? So what they liked was I had a combination of a lot of ministry background. I also had some business background, and they said, that's kind of the combo we're looking for you to reach the people that we're trying to reach in this kind of ministry. And our ministry focuses on seniors and focuses on people with developmental disabilities. And I really liked the idea of going back into ministry, but I wasn't really interested in going back into a full-time parish position. So this kind of fit my skill set, what I enjoyed doing, fit what they were looking for. So I have been with the Lutheran Home Association since 2016, and over the course of the past few years, I've really gotten to know how we operate, what we're doing, the people that we're reaching, how we're touching them. And when our president and CEO retired at the end of last year, I was appointed by our board to be the president of ministry. So
fantastic.
That's how I got here.
Well, that's fantastic. Great background. That sounds like it would be a great fit for running the operation and being a part of that operation in Belle Plaine. Now, you guys have your major campus in Belle Plaine,
yes,
which is in Scott County for those of you that are maybe outside the Twin City area. And it's a gorgeous campus, like 22 acres or something, and it's got all levels of service for the communities there. And I would encourage anybody who's in the South Metro of the Twin Cities to call and get a tour, because it really is a beautiful campus. You have other locations, and we'll get into that here as we talk more about the association itself. But I want to continue to go with the background here for folks. Jacqueline Grimm, Director of Senior Services Regional Director of Senior Services for Minnesota Care Communities and a licensed administrator. Give us your background.
So I actually grew up in the industry for long-term care. My mother was a nurse, and she continued her education and would take us everywhere when I was a child, me and my siblings. And we would go hang out with the residents. We would do activities. I mean, just learned so much. So since I was little, I've always had a passion, and the history with it. So then I went to school. Got my degree in psychology and a minor in Spanish, and I started my career as a director of social services for long-term care. I really, truly enjoyed the position. I enjoyed working with long-term care. I truly, the passion is there because I get to see and build relationships with residents and their families. So it just really great opportunities. Then I had the great opportunity to be able to go and obtain my licensed nursing home certification licensing through University of Minnesota Crookston. So I did that and had just a wonderful mentor who just brought me under her wing and taught me, what good leadership is and what good services and quality of care. I then had the next opportunity of kind of going into the Lutheran home. Okay. My mentor had said, hey, Jacqueline, there's this great facility, great campus, a ministry, so go check it out and see what's going on. So I went and knocked on the door, and here I am.
How long ago was that?
About 16 months ago.
All right. Time for a break here. We'll be right back. Please stay with us.
Don't be surprised if you hear your name when you walk into St. Paul Corner Drug. Our experienced staff make getting to know you their top priority. Developing a trusting relationship with our patients is the first step in providing personalized care that achieves the best outcomes possible. Make certain all your providers know who you are and what your needs are. It is a vital step in your well-being. Stop by St. Paul Corner Drug today to start a relationship with a staff that cares. St. Paul Corner Drug, pharmacy the way it should be.
In the Army National Guard, family means everything.
Our parents, they were really supportive that all 5 of us would join. I got my education because of the Guard. I got to travel a little bit and experience a whole different culture. It helped me get my job, it helped me pay for my house.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard instills pride that you and your family will share. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more about part-time service. Sponsored by the Minnesota Army National Guard. Aired by the Minnesota Broadcasters Association and this station.
Crooner's Lounge and Supper Club is delighted to offer its spacious facilities for your private function. From weddings, retirement parties, business dinners, or any special occasion, Crooner's combines a dedicated full-service special events team, an award-winning chef, and a beautiful lakeside ambiance to make your event a resounding success. Visit croonersloungemn.com to learn more about their private dining options, or call 763-571-9020 to get a quote for your next event today. Supporting the best local and independently owned restaurants in the Twin Cities has never been easier. You'll find an expansive list of local dining options at eatlocalminnesota.com, from classic American comfort food to authentic flavors from around the world. Cafe Latte offers made-from-scratch soups, salads, sandwiches, and mouth-watering desserts. Stop in the wine bar and enjoy a unique pizza loaded with fresh vegetables and perfectly roasted meats. Over 30 wines by the glass, Cafe Latte highlights Washington State wines and is the perfect destination for date night or an evening with friends. 850 Grand Avenue, St. Paul. Victor's 1959 Cafe has been serving South Minneapolis traditional Cuban food for over 15 years. Victor's is open for breakfast and lunch daily and now accepts dinner reservations too. Stop in and try the Pollo Tropicale or the Sandwich Cubano, which was featured on Food Network. More at eatlocalminnesota.com.
Hello, humans. This is me, Ellie Krug, with Ellie 2.0 Radio on Monday mornings from 7 to 8 a.m. It's an Ellie's Talking Head show this week. Our featured idealist is Carl Wilkins, the only American to remain in Rwanda during the 1994 genocide. I'll also share about Tightrope, the new book by Nicholas Kristof and Cheryl Wudun. In my C block, I'll talk about my work as an idealist. Ellie 2.0 Radio, engaging and real on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
All right, folks, welcome back. You are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about your health and your life. My name is Ken Haglind, and joining me today in the main studio of AM 950 is Mark Hayes, President of Ministry, Jacqueline Grimm, Regional Director of Senior Services for Minnesota Care Communities and a licensed administrator, and Deborah Wilbright. She is the Regional Director of Disability Services. And these folks are all from the great Lutheran Home Association. And we are going to be talking about their mission and what they do to help support the needs, the spiritual needs, physical, intellectual, and emotional needs of the people entrusted to their care. And, of course, others that their lives are being touched because of the care they're giving to a loved one. So we're going to talk about that today throughout the show. So if you have any questions about elder care, senior services that can be done through a campus setting, you just got to call in or text me on our radio show phone here. So the radio station number is 952-946-6205 to get your question answered live on the air. That radio station number again is 952-946-6205. Or if you want to text us your question, that's at 612-999-3426. Now, before we get back into the show, I want to mention a couple things here. Folks, if you are struggling with chronic health issues or you're feeling stressed and overwhelmed, it may be that your brain is not working the way it should be. You get your vision checked annually, you get your hearing checked, you should get your teeth checked twice a year, along with other annual exams. But have you ever considered getting your brain checked? Your brain runs all of your body systems, and if it's not working well, your body is going to suffer, as well as your emotions and your energy. Find out how well your brain is working by making an appointment with Dr. Christine Stevie at the Sano Wellness Center. Now, she's been providing these neurologic services for over 17 years. Now, mention you heard this on my radio show and receive a 50% discount on their brain assessment services. Now, they focus on getting to the root cause of physical and emotional ailments. And many times, folks, it's coming from your brain. Now, their number to get an appointment is 952-681-2916. 952-681-2916. Or visit them online at sanowc.com. That's spelled SANOWC.com. Again, remember, when your brain is working, your body responds. All right. Mark, let's give out the phone number. Before we go and talk to Deborah, let's give out the phone number for people if they have questions or want more information about the wonderful services you guys do through the Lutheran Home Association.
Our main number is 952-873-6000, and they will be able to direct you whichever direction you want to go in our organization.
All right, great. And you've got a website too, right?
TLHA.org.
All right, TLHA for the Lutheran Home Association, and .org, folks. Don't do the .com, right?
That's correct.
Okay, all right. All right, well, let's do this here. We were just going through introductions on the last segment, and I want to get to Deborah Wilbright and talk about what she does and how she got there and what's your background. Give us a bit of a background on you and how you ended up at the Lutheran Home Association.
Good morning. I was actually born and raised in Minnesota, and I attended college at the Minnesota State University, and I ended up receiving a degree in corrections and a minor in chemical dependency. And shortly after that, I took a position as an adolescent chemical dependency counselor, and I realized after 9 months of doing that, that was something I did not want to do. And I ended up kind of falling into taking a role with an organization, a supervisor role, working with individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and realized right away I had a passion for working with those types of individuals. I worked at that organization for 8 years before my family and I deciding to move back to my hometown in Lee Sueur, Minnesota. And from there, I started working at the Lutheran Home Organization, Hope Residence, and I've been there for the past 12 years. So pretty much my entire career, the last 20 years, has been working with individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities.
That's fantastic. Now, it's kind of unusual in a campus setting to have both the elder senior population, but also having maybe a population with disabilities, because you mentioned earlier off the air that you have people from the ages of 21, right?
Correct.
Up through the senior age.
Correct.
Under your care and in your program.
Correct. So our campus is definitely unique because we do have a skilled nursing home, we have an assisted living, and then we have Hope Residence that serves a wide range of individuals from, like I said, they need to be 18 years of age or older, and our oldest individual is 91 years old. We serve individuals from mild intellectual disabilities to profound, autism, cerebral palsy, traumatic brain injury. So we really do serve a unique set of people, especially with high medical needs, and a lot of them, in addition to that, have a diagnosis of a mental illness, and so we have nurses 16 hours a day, so we're really able to serve a unique population.
Yeah. Now, do they stay there for life then, or is it a transitional care program, or what's the duration of stay for your residents there in Hope?
The majority of the individuals do live there until end of life. We've had individuals that are on hospice. A few of them, if they're really independent, could move to more of a community setting, group home, but the majority stay with us, and it's a home where we can meet their needs however they change. Yeah,
no, that's fantastic. Aging in place is important too. We've got about a minute left here already. Mark, why don't you give us a little bit more of a brief history of Lutheran Home Association in the last minute here, and then we'll follow up with that in the next segment.
Sure. We've been around for 121 years. It started with a gift. A lady named Sophie Bessling, her son went into the Civil War. They called him the juvenile warrior in Minnesota. At age 14, he lied about his age to get into the war, and he was killed in Vicksburg. But the money that his mother received from his death benefit and also the family farm after her husband passed, she donated to a local Lutheran church in Belle Plaine, Minnesota. And she said, can you use this money to start a home for widows and orphans? Because I don't have anywhere to go, and I know there's others like me. And that's kind of how we got our start.
Wow, what a great story. And so that was back, it looks like 1898.
1898.
Wow, that's fantastic. I just love those stories. And a lot of the organizations throughout the country have unique starting points like that. And a lot of them have been around for over 100 years. That's pretty cool.
It is. And these groups of churches then they'd bring vegetables, they'd bring food, they'd support these churches. And that's how it got its name, the Lutheran Home Association, groups of people in churches that would support them.
Oh, fantastic. All right, folks, it's time for a short break. We'll be right back to continue our conversation regarding the Lutheran Home Association with Mark Hayes, President of Ministry, Jacqueline Grimm, Regional Director of Senior Services for Minnesota Care Communities and Licensed Administrator, and Deborah Wilbright, Regional Director of Disability Services. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Get your questions ready.
Hi, I'm Peter Solak.
And I'm Adam Ostrowski.
We are here at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces to talk about the joy of live fire cooking. Cooking over a live fire is the oldest and most basic form of cooking.
What's new is in the way fire is handled and its heat is managed.
It's easier to experience and enjoy the smell and taste of food cooked over a live fire.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces sells and installs live fire grills, fire pits, and ovens. Let us help you experience the smell, the taste, the fun of cooking with fire.
Pizza was first made and is still best made in an open fire oven. The radiant and conductive heat of a live fire is unmatched for wood roasting and baking artisan breads too.
Come see the many ways you can cook over a live fire.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has over 35 working wood and gas units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis. More information at woodlandstoves.com. Find the fire that works for you. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. Out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
Located just north of 50th in France, the Great Wall Restaurant has provided a delicious taste of authentic Chinese cuisine since 1981. Specializing in Szechuan and Peking dishes, they offer one of the most extensive menus in the Twin Cities. Favorites include hot and sour soup, pan-fried dumplings, and mushu pork with homemade Chinese pancakes. Stop by their Edina location or call for takeout at 952-927-4439. See the full menu at greatwallrestaurant.us.
Hey, I guess we found a new name for our show.
Really? What's the new name?
Pilot's Progressive Party.
How did you ever come up with that?
Pilot's our name and Progressive Fun is our game.
Well, what's that about?
It's a 1-hour news show with progressive guests and information you normally don't hear on the radio.
Well, that's so exciting. I have a few ideas for guests myself.
I know they'll be progressive.
Wednesdays from 5 to 6 p.m. on AM 950.
The progressive voice of Minnesota.
Are you thinking about buying or selling a house or just want to know what might be going on with one of your biggest investments? Then why not become a house geek? Hi, I'm Kirk Duckwall with Bricks Real Estate and host of the Twin Cities Real Estate Show here on this station with your Market Minute. 4.17 is the average number of showings per week per listing in the median sale price range here in the Twin Cities. This is an early jump up and is a key indicator of demand in the marketplace. The median sale price is also up 8.4% over the same time last year, which is at about $280K. The 30-year conventional interest rate is around 3.72%. This is up slightly over last week. So what does this mean for sellers? The spring market is upon us. Yes, the spring market. It is saying that if you wait to list until it is green, you are going to miss out on some green. For buyers, the inventory of homes will start to rise, but so will the competition and therefore the prices. Are you thinking about making a move? Then check us out online anytime at housegeeks.com.
With your AM 950 weather, this is Eric Nelson. Today will be partly sunny with a high near 35. By tonight, increasing clouds with a low around 10. Sunday, partly sunny with a high near 23 and a 50% chance of snow at night with a low around 18. Monday, the snow is likely to continue with a high of 32 and a low of 12.
Come join Tom Hartman and his fellow listeners the night before the Blue State Ball, February 22nd. Chat with Tom about all the political issues going on today. While enjoying a delightful dinner, purchase your tickets today. Tickets are only available by calling AM 950. Call 952-946-8885.
All right. Welcome back, folks. You are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about your health and your life. My name is Ken Haglind, and joining me today in the main studio of AM 950 is Mark Hayes, President of Ministry, Jacqueline Grimm, Regional Director of Senior Services for the Minnesota Care Communities, and she's a licensed administrator, and Deborah Wilbright. She's the Regional Director of Disability Services, and they are all from the Great Lutheran Home Association. And their organization serves the spiritual, physical, intellectual, and emotional needs of the people entrusted to their care and others whose lives they touch. Now, today we are highlighting one of the premier senior housing campuses here in Minnesota. And these guys are phenomenal. I've been out to their campus. It is great. I encourage anybody who lives in the South Metro, certainly, to stop out there, take a tour, and understand all the great services they have. And we're going to talk more about those services in this segment here. But before we get back to our conversation, I want to mention this radio program is brought to you each week by Minnesota Hospice. They are an independent, physician-owned medical practice serving local Minnesota communities for over 11 years with innovative and comprehensive end-of-life health care. If you have any questions regarding end-of-life care or support that goes along with that care, please contact the compassionate team of experts at Minnesota Hospice. Their phone number is 952-898-1022, or visit them online at minnesotahospice.com. Also, this radio program is brought to you in part each week by the great team at Genetic Health RX. We've had several calls about this over the last couple of weeks. The folks at Genetic Health RX specialize in providing DNA testing for people to ensure the medications you are taking or are planning to take are the right ones for your unique genetic profile. Now, here's the thing, folks. Everyone's genetic profile is different. And sometimes you have the genes that can process medications correctly, and sometimes you don't. Now, you want to avoid medications your body cannot use correctly, because that will help reduce potential negative drug side effects. Now, the team at Genetic Health RX will provide your doctor with a personalized medication management program, and they do this by using a simple one-time pain-free, it's a cheek swab test that is all covered by Medicare. So there's no cost to you if you're on Medicare. And most insurance plans pay for this as well, because they realize how important it is to have the right medications being prescribed that your body can actually use. For more information about this, please call the team at Genetic Health RX. Their phone number is 612-991-9930. Once again, that number is 612-991-9930. Now remember, this is a free test. It's a very sophisticated test, and it's free if you're on Medicare or have good insurance coverage. Please call the folks there at Genetic Health. Get that test done so you know and your doctor knows which medications are good for you and which medications may not be very good for you. All right. Let's get back into our conversation here about the Lutheran Home Association. Mark, before we start talking to Jacqueline here, would you give us the phone number in case people have questions or want more information?
Sure. Our main number is 952-873-6000.
All right, fantastic. And you got a website.
TLHA.org.
All right, TLHA.org, LutheranHomeAssociation.org. All right. Well, I want to spend the next several minutes here talking about the amazing services you guys have. I mean, it's a beautiful campus, and you've got amazing people there. It's just wonderful. Jacqueline, maybe let's talk to you and Deborah here about some of the social services, some of the programs that you guys have that are really kind of unique to what you guys do, and help illuminate what a person could expect if they were to take a tour out there or possibly look at having a loved one become a resident on your campus.
So our campus really does foster a culture of continuum of care. I mean, we have multiple sites there that, we can do assisted living, independent living in Kingsway. We also have an income-based Bessling Village for independent living residents that need some. We can bring services to them if they need services. The skilled nursing facility, we do a respite care. We're contracted with the Veteran Affairs as well. So if a family member, needs to take a vacation or just needs a little bit of a break, we're willing to have them into our facility and care for them. And the benefit of that is also that they can get therapy services. So while they're staying with us, we can help strengthen them. We have memory care. We have Sophie Suites, which is in the Kingsway setting, and that's a little more independent residents. And then we also have a special care resident area for memory care there, dementia. We also, if there's behavioral symptoms or just different things like that, wandering, we really try to foster a culture where we can provide services in a safe home for those residents.
Okay, great. So because memory care is a growing concern with many people that are elderly or their children, and so this is an area that they, again, could come out and check out what you guys have for services there, both on a kind of an independent level for memory care, but also maybe a little bit more for a little bit higher acuity memory care issues.
Correct.
Can do that. Okay.
Yep. And then we were also awarded a PIP grant through the state for our skilled nursing facility memory care to continue to enhance the services we're providing, educate our staff members on what it is, how to help our residents, and provide just a better quality of life for them.
And that really is a specialized area. We've learned in our practice, just people with dementia, there's various kinds of dementia. It's not just Alzheimer's. There's many different types of dementia out there, and it does require people to understand how that affects a person and how they need to interact with them. So yeah, it's a great program that you guys have out there. Let's talk about disabilities a little bit here with Deborah.
Sure.
You mentioned a bit about that in the first segment, but let's explore more of that because that's really unique. You guys have that service available that typically is not available on most senior residential campuses.
Correct. We serve 52 individuals there, and I should mention about 50% of our individuals go out to work actually during the day and work full-time Monday through Friday. And then those that are retired or just not able to continue to work stay back at home, and we have a full-time activities director and activity assistants that really keep our residents very actively involved in things that they enjoy. They're taking them on community outings. About 17 of them actually just attended the Tim Tebow Foundation prom this past week, which was something really exciting for them. We have nurses that 16 hours a day, so we're also able to specialize with individuals that have high medical needs, such as epilepsy. We had talked a little bit about dementia and Alzheimer's, and I would say that's a pretty big specialty for us as well, because we have a lot of individuals with Down syndrome, and as they age, it's very common that they end up being diagnosed with that, and so we're able to take care of those needs as well.
Okay. We've got a few minutes left here. I wanted to talk to Mark a little bit about the care for the soul and the soul for the care, and kind of the spiritual element you guys bring. You really emphasize the spiritual care of the residents. Could you talk more about that unique aspect of your program?
The easiest way for me to describe it, I call this a day with Pastor Ed. So Pastor Ed is the chaplain at our nursing home, and he's been there for
13 years.
13 years. He just celebrated an anniversary. But his personality, his warmth, his kindness, every single morning, or at least 4 mornings a week, he goes out to where the residents are eating and sits down and talks to every one of them, calls them all by name, finds out how they're doing. If they're in transitional care for any kind of rehab, he knows that, finds out, hey, how's that progressing? How are you feeling? Is it getting better? And anyone who doesn't make it to lunch or breakfast, they're not feeling well or they're in their rooms, he'll go personally to their room, check in on them, make sure they're okay. And this is his daily routine. He knows them and they know him, and he's kind of like daddy in a way, does a devotion with them, and if anybody needs, he can pick up from the conversation. If somebody they're hurting or they just need a little extra attention, he'll follow up with them after. He's also a licensed family counselor, so he does have that background as well. As he is a pastor, but he also has that extra background, so he really just is able to be a huge part of the lives of our residents.
I think it's really important also to highlight that the Lutheran home, not only for the residents, but also for the staff. When Pastor Ed is doing devotional, the staff will stop and they will listen to him and they will bow their heads. And whenever, there's someone in need, Pastor Ed's always available for them. So I know in our morning meetings, there's days where he comes in and we start off our days with devotions. And that is very important for our employees and for our residents to see as well.
Well, and that's in the setting that you guys are in. There's some stress involved in caregiving, and we see it all the time in our profession. There's caregiver burnout, and we always talk about self-care and how important it is to take care of yourself. And so it's great to see that you guys have a program already kind of built in for both the residents and for the staff to be able to help provide that. So that's great. Yeah, Deborah, what do you have?
Well, we are a Lutheran organization, and you do not have to be Lutheran in order to live there, but that is something that really attracts families to bring their loved ones to the Lutheran home. For example, I've had families that have moved from Florida, Illinois, Texas, and relocated just to move their son or daughter into Hope Residence, and then sometimes the families have just lived in the community, while other times they've also lived in our independent apartments. And we actually had one individual that had never been part of involved in a church, and she moved to Hope Residence, and Pastor Ed, like they mentioned earlier, had actually baptized and confirmed her as well as a team member that wanted to do it, and he did that together with them. So I think that really just makes us really different from other organizations out there.
Well, it sounds like, and I know this from talking to you guys earlier and going out to your campus, that you guys really focus on all levels of a person. It's a very holistic approach to the person, to the physical issues, the emotional, intellectual, and spiritual. So, I mean, that's really the wave, I think, of the future for giving great care and getting the maximum quality of life for your residents. I think that's just fantastic. We've got about a half a minute left here. Is there anything else we want to talk about your campus in the last 30 seconds before we go to the next segment? Go ahead. Jacqueline.
I was going to say that, another example of the great opportunity of continuum of care is on occasion if somebody in Deborah's setting goes out for surgery, we help them, we strengthen them at the skilled nursing, and then we coordinate together to try to get them back to their original setting. So that goes for the Kingsway, that goes for Bestling. I mean, that's a lot of the continuity of care, which is very important in progressing a healthy lifestyle.
Oh, that's fantastic. Gets them back in the swing of things quicker. Too. Oh, that's great. All right, listen, folks, it's time for a quick break here. We'll be right back to continue our conversation with Mark Hayes, President of Ministry, Jacqueline Grimm, Regional Director of Senior Services for Minnesota Care Communities and a licensed administrator, and Deborah Wilbright, Regional Director of Disability Services. And we're going to continue to talk about the mission of the Lutheran Home Association to serve the spiritual, physical, intellectual, and emotional needs of the people that they are entrusted to care for. Please stay with us.
I'm attorney Rachel Schroman of Schroman Law, and I've got you covered. I provide trusted legal advice in wills and trusts, supplemental and special needs trusts, powers of attorney, healthcare directives, probate, financing long-term care, medical assistance planning, and prenuptial and postnuptial agreements. These are areas of law that are intensely personal in nature, and I don't take the responsibility of providing counsel around such issues lightly. Learn more at schromenlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
Taking prescription medication should not be a scary task. The staff at St. Paul Corner Drug makes certain you know everything about your prescription medication before you leave the pharmacy. Knowing what to expect and when and how to take your prescriptions gives you the confidence to safely take your medication and maintain good health. Should additional questions arise, we are here to help sort things out. St. Paul Corner Drug, pharmacy the way it should be, at stpaulcornerdrug.com.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I've been telling you about my friends at Snap Construction, who are arguably the most well-reviewed exterior construction company in the metro. Don't just take my word for it. Take a look at all their reviews online. Winter is the most cost-effective time of the year to complete your construction project. A majority of Minnesotans choose to have their work completed on their home in the summer when they should be enjoying the weather. As a result, the demand for labor in the summer is much higher. The most cost-effective way to improve or restore your home is in the winter due to the lower demand. Right now, Snap Construction is offering an additional 30% off of labor to the AM 950 listeners on your next construction project between now and the end of February. Call 612-333-SNAP and mention AM 950 for an additional 30% off. As always, Snap Construction stands by their work with a lifetime craftsmanship warranty. Don't wait to get a free estimate by calling 612-333-SNAP or find them online at snapconstruction.com. Financing options available.
Hi, I'm Peter Solak.
And I'm Adam Ostrowski.
We are here at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces to talk about outdoor fires. Sitting around a fire is the oldest, most basic form of human activity.
What's new is in the way fire is burned. We can show you how to burn cleaner with a lot less smoke.
The radiant heat and light from an open fire is unmatched. It kindles our spirits and connects us to the outdoors. And now it's easier to experience and enjoy.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces sells and installs wood and gas burning fire pits and fireplaces. Let us help you experience an outdoor fire without all the smoke.
Come see the many ways you can enjoy a fire outdoors.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has over 35 working wood and gas units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis. More information at woodlandstoves.com. Find the fire that works for you. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. Out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
All right, welcome back, folks. We are coming back to you for the last segment already. Boy, this time flies by. We appreciate you listening to us. You are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about your health and your life. My name is Ken Haglind, and joining me today in the main studio here at AM 950 is a team from Lutheran Home Association, and they're all focused at the Belle Plaine campus in Scott County. It's a gorgeous campus. You've got to take a trip out there and see what they're offering, a wide range, wide spectrum of services to help both the elderly and the disabled. But with me today here is Mark Hayes, President of Ministry, Jacqueline Grimm, Regional Director of Senior Services for the Minnesota Care Communities, and she's a licensed administrator, and Deborah Wilbright. She's the Regional Director of Disability Services. And we've been discussing the mission of the Lutheran Home Association, which is to meet the needs of their residents, and those are spiritual, physical, intellectual, and emotional needs of the people entrusted to their care. And they also want to make sure that they touch the lives of others that are associated with the loved ones that are in their care on their campus. So let's jump back in here. Mark, what number should people reach out to if they have more questions or want more information?
Our direct line is 952-873-6000. All
right, and your website?
TLHA.org.
All right, TLHA.org. All right. Well, I want to focus again a little bit back on the culture, because when I was out there, I just really enjoyed the visit that I've had out there with your community, and it really is a unique culture. It's in a beautiful setting. You got great facilities, great buildings, great people. Maybe, Mark, you could tell us a little bit more about that culture that's just so important when people make a decision to live in a place that they maybe haven't. They lived in a home for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, and all of a sudden they're making a transition to a new place, and culture is so important.
It truly is one of the things that drew me to this organization. When I was a pastor, you're always pastors know that there's always a large group of people who aren't able to attend church when they age. They're not able to leave their home. Right. Sometimes they'll try to go and visit them as much as possible, either in their homes or in their nursing home for 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there. But I had visited so many nursing homes in my ministry and just didn't have that feel. It was more of a cold, almost a medical environment.
Yeah, institutional.
Yeah, that's a good word. But when I came to the Lutheran home, every one of their care communities had this feel to it, and I wasn't always able to put my finger directly on it, but I had a great conversation with a local law enforcement agent in Belle Plaine who's been there for a long time, and he's a leader in our community. And he, just from the perspective of law enforcement, said, I go into a lot of different industries, a lot of different care communities, and in my work it's usually not for pleasant things, but having visited your group and been in your care community, he said there's just something about it that it really just feels different. You can feel the respect that the employees have for each other, the way the nurses care for the residents, and he said, I would not, don't understate the role of having a chaplain full-time in your care, because that culture just permeates there. Well, he then ended up having both of his parents stay with us, and he said his father recently passed, and he said, I cannot think of a better place for my dad to end life. So coming from someone who was once an outsider, so to speak, who then brought family in there from both perspectives, just really had some wonderful things to say that made us feel good about the culture that we really do have as part of what we do.
Yeah, well, that culture of service does permeate, and especially in today's age of assisted living and skilled nursing, and everyone, it's no secret, they all struggle with turnover. It's people, there's burnout that happens. It's a tough situation sometimes, and I know people. For you guys, I've talked to people that really are drawn to your organization because of that. They feel like they belong. They feel they're really doing meaningful work, and that's great to hear. That's why, again, I encourage people, make a call, take a tour. You'll feel what Mark's talking about when you take a tour out there. Let's also talk about, in the last couple of minutes here, about planning. People wait and don't plan, and I want to maybe have Deborah talk about some of the important aspects of planning as we go through life's transitions.
I just can't encourage families to start planning. It's never too early to start planning. I've worked with families that have a son or daughter, 14 years of age or older, and they're starting to have those discussions. And you just never know when something could happen. And it's important for families to know that their loved one is living in a safe environment and they're being cared for as if they were taking care of them. So I just really think having those important discussions is something that's necessary, and to call, and if you're just starting to think about it, call the Lutheran Home and just get more information, and we'd be happy to show you around, whether it's something you're looking for, in a few years, whatever, we'd be happy to help.
Yeah, and again, I'd encourage people to get out there and just take a tour, because you don't even know what you don't know until you get out there and actually have people explain the different services. And the website's great, talks about all levels of services. And maybe, Jacqueline, we can just end here with you maybe in the last couple of minutes, just talking about care transition services, getting people back on their feet. Some people are there temporarily and some people are there permanently, right?
Correct. Yep. Right now, our average TCU, so transitional care, is about 13.5 days. So our goal is, we want to get you home as quick as we can, but we also want to do it safely and strategically. We want to help make sure that if there are services you need at home, we'll help you set those up. Even we help a lot with financial status. So if you have questions on medical assistance or just payer sources, we're there. We will help you, and we will walk you from the beginning until you get home.
Okay. A lot of people have confusion and questions about how are things paid for, what are costs. We only have a few seconds left here. How is that handled with you guys?
The state of Minnesota, Medicaid pays for the individuals that reside at Hope Residence.
Okay.
As long as they meet income qualifications, which typically they always do.
Yeah, okay, all right. And otherwise people, they private pay for...
They can private pay. Long-term care insurance will help them with the applications for those. We also have Medicaid veterans where... We're partnered with the Veteran Affairs, so we'll help, obtain those benefits with their VA families as well. So there's different payer sources.
Okay. And again, people can come to you guys to get help with that, because it is confusing.
Yes, you can come to us. I've had multiple times where we give the tour to the family or the guest that's going to come stay with us, and we have that financial discussion just to help pre-plan.
All right. Well, we are at the end of the show. We could talk about this for another hour or two. We'll have to have these guys back for another show. But anyway, thank you so much, Mark Hayes, President of Ministry, Jacqueline Grimm, Regional Director of Senior Services for Minnesota Care Communities and a licensed administrator, and Deborah Wilbright, Regional Director of Disability Services. And these folks are all from the Lutheran Home Association that's serving the needs of their residents. And we hope you enjoyed today's show, folks. Please continue to call us with any questions or comments you have regarding today's conversation, or let us know of topics or conversations you want us to discuss on future shows. You can reach us by phone or text at 612-999-3426. Please have a good life. Thank you.